Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? I hope you're all feeling fit and well. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today you find me truly humbled. Doesn't happen very often, but I am truly humbled today. As hard as I might try, I have long since realised that I'm never going to win a Pulitzer Prize for writing about diggers. I know I'm unlikely to be in line for an MBE, an OBE, a CBE, or even a knighthood anytime soon. So I'd contented myself with the social media awards that I won back in 2008 and the 50-meter breaststroke medal that I won at school. But yesterday I was granted an accolade that surpassed all of these previous honours. I've been this is serious. I have been immortalised in a video game. Really, there is no punchline to this. I'm going to be in a computer game. Sorry, the chat just went a bit mental there for a second. I'm going to tell you more about all of this a bit later on, and I should probably be talking about it in the after show chat. But this unexpected accolade comes with an added bonus. If you were here yesterday, you will recall that several people called for the return of our question of the day slot. Well, I reached out to the man behind the new computer game in which I will be a character, and together we have created a video stinger to bring back our question of the day, and I'm going to be playing that for you shortly. Now, one more thing before we get the show underway. Tonight at 7 p.m, I will be hosting a brand new look panel show. In addition to our two guests, Andy Stevens and Steve Kerslake, we will have a panel comprising some of our friends and colleagues from across the industry. Now, we only have 10 people. We can only have room for 10 people, including our two guests. But I do think we have a couple of slots still open. So if you'd like to be part of that, let me know, and I will send you a link so you can actually be on screen as part of the whole thing. And just to let you know, and her timely arrival just reminded me, morning Lou, that show tonight will be brought to you by the fine folks at Plantworks. And thank you very much indeed for them for doing so. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro. I'm going to post a question of the day because it's back, and then we'll get on with the show. So here's the intro, and I'm going to post the question of the day in the chat. It is Wednesday, the 10th of May. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Allu unveils a new prototype model. The Bridge Busters are back in town, and we're looking back around Hitachi's impressive display at last week's SaMoTer exhibition. Plus, we're picking up good vibrations with the fine folks at Dynaset. And as if that weren't enough for a single show, our question of the day slot is back by popular demand, complete with a new video and avatar. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, let us peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this day back in history. On this day in 1503, Christopher Columbus discovered the Cayman Islands. 500 years later, rich folk from around the world would celebrate his discovery by turning the islands into a tax exile. In 1804, William Pitt the Younger became UK Prime Minister. In 1877, the White House had its first telephone installed. In 1915, a Zeppelin airship dropped hundreds of bombs on Southend-on-Sea, possibly doing hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of improvements. In 1940, Winston Churchill became Prime Minister. In 1963, I didn't know this until I found this out yesterday, in 1963, Decca Records followed the advice of Beatle George Harrison and signed a little-known band called the Rolling Stones. 4 years later, to the day, Rolling Stones members Keith Richards, Brian Jones and Mick Jagger were arrested on drug charges. In 1984, Nelson hang on a minute, is that 84? Is that 94? 1994. Nelson Mandela was sworn in as South Africa's first black president. And on this day in the year 2000, India's population passed the 1 billion mark. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me remind you of the question of the day. And to do so, I'm going to introduce you to our new avatar. Yes, I think you'll agree. The likeness is uncanny. That's my computer character. Brilliant. Yes, what would you do if you won £1 million? What would you do if you won £1 million? Would you spend it all on champagne and hookers, or would you just waste it? Let us know in the chat. And while we're about it, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Matthew High, the man responsible for creating my new computer avatar, and the man who is currently developing a health and safety computer game in which I will be playing a very small but undoubtedly pivotal role. Great work, Matthew, and thank you very much indeed for including me in the game. I'm not sure if he's actually in the chat at the moment, but if you'd like to find out more about the game or about Matthew's computer graphic skills, just let me know and I'll put you in touch. Now, it is time to get the show underway. Now, here on the show, we do like to keep the customers satisfied. Lou Carney managed to blink and miss the new avatar. So, Lou, here it is. I think my mother would recognize me from that, possibly. And Matthew High, he's here. The man that created that avatar, which does look a lot like me, I have to say. Even got the beard the right color. Can't believe that. Morning, Matthew. Thank you very much indeed for that. And Lou, thanks for asking for a replay. You'll be seeing that a lot in the coming weeks. And Peter McKenna says, it looks fantastic. Matthew High, you already have a fan club. Now, it feels like an eternity since we landed in Las Vegas for the ConExpo 2023 exhibition. There were lots of standout machines on display, as usual, and the show provided us with an opportunity to check out some models that might be coming in the not-too-distant future. And one such model was this prototype from the fine folks at Allu.
We're a family-owned company. 10 to 15% of our revenue is being put back into R&D every single year. There's a separate company for that even. So the IRC, so the Innovative Research Company. And our owner is actually heading this company. So the creator of the Allu screener crushing bucket, Mark Guilloninen, is actually doing this. He came up with this idea. He thought that it might address a certain specific niche market or desire within the market. And that's why we're showcasing this today at the ConExpo. The desire in the market is to go narrow and narrow on the fragment size. So the output fragment size. The smaller you can go, the better it will be, especially when you're talking about padding applications, utility applications, where you simply just pad or have to close a trench. And this basically has given us the opportunity to do so with the new concept in there. We're talking anywhere between 2,000 and 2.5 ton buckets. So we're basically talking in the range of a 20 to a 30 ton excavator. The path from here will be to find the correct end customer or dealer so that we can actually put this into the field and get more feedback from the customers, well, how they feel about the product, what is the likelihood of them buying the product, what is the likelihood of the business case going forward. And if that is so, then basically you start making the first units in the factory for your customers, and then you start rolling it out. Your next question will probably be, what is the timeline of this? So the timeline we're thinking about is that this unit will most likely not leave the US, that we're giving it or staying with one of our dealers in the US or end customers. They will trial it for several weeks or months. We will get feedback from them. And if the feedback is basically brilliant or it's very, very positive, we'll start rolling it out as a product in the other Allu product line, which will be at the end of this year, beginning of next year.
Yeah, not sure when that's likely to join the Allu product range, but I look forward to seeing it in action. I owe an apology to our friend Peter McKenna. Good morning, Peter, who has a nickname now, which I put on a button for him. Peter is now known as Sick Note for reasons that most of you will know. No idea what happened there, Peter. It seems to have fallen off for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why that would be, but my nickname is Pegleg. I preferred Sick Note personally, but Pegleg, if that's what you'd prefer, not a problem at all. Now, we need to press a button, and I think we need to press, let me think. Let's go with one of these, shall we? I'm just going to share this with you. What am I doing? I'm watching yesterday's show, says Ken Hatcher. Ken, I feel your pain. I was actually sat here typing when the button said go live. I was actually about 10 seconds behind the system. So I feel your pain. I know exactly what it's like. Welcome to Wednesday. Now, while some of us were taking advantage of the bank holiday weekend to kick back and relax, the team at Armac were hard at work demolishing a bridge over the M42 in Solihull. And we have some exclusive footage of that project in action. Very good reason why Armac are known by the nickname the Bridge Busters. Hats off to the entire Armac team on a job superbly done. As usual, really. Questions we get. Yeah. Been meaning to ask for months. What is the song that sounds like OAP 283? I've no idea. That song that accompanies the Lighthouse Club ad, for which they do not pay, we gave that to them free of charge as part of our commitment to all things health and safety and obviously mental health as well. They supplied the music. I have no idea what the song is. I'm pretty sure it's not called OAP 283. But if anyone was watching the coronation over the weekend, I wasn't, but if anyone was watching it over the weekend, you will know that misheard lyrics were a key component of that. Something to do with Camilla and certain parts of her anatomy. I'm going to leave it there. I've got a DVSA driving assessment on Friday. As I'm disabled, the DVLA will want to make sure I'm still a competent driver. Funny, really, as my Motability car has done over 12,000 miles in just under a year. I can't be that bad a driver. You would have thought that would be evidence enough, would you not? But yes, thank you very much indeed for that, Lou. Top of the morning, ladies and gentlemen, and you filthy animals. I thought we only said that at Christmas when Home Alone rolled around, but good morning, you filthy animals. Happy hump day, one and all. Thank you very much indeed, Dan. Now, back to the show. This time last week, I was basking in the Italian sunshine, surrounded by beautiful Italian women, annoyingly handsome Italian men, and a whole heap of construction equipment at the SaMoTer exhibition in Verona. Well, Hitachi was there too. Yes, Hitachi put on a great display. Precisely as you'd expect. A question from Gary Muirhead, was XCMG at the show? As everybody knows, we are all watching the XCMG wagon drawing ever closer to the UK. Were they in Italy? Yeah, they were. In actual fact, I'm fairly sure, no, not fairly sure, I'm 100% sure that one of my walk around videos actually features a walk around the XCMG stand. And a wheel loader there, a couple of mini excavators as well. So no, they are very, very much in Europe. They are drawing ever, ever closer. I will dig out that video, Gary, and hopefully bring that to you in the next couple of days. But watch this space. I asked GPT what is the best excavator was, and said it would depend on the application you wanted to use it for. For those of you that don't know, ChatGPT is an AI system that is probably the next generation of search, I would say. It's not 100% at the moment, but I've actually used it on a couple of occasions to script podcasts and the like, purely to prove the worth of ChatGPT. And I have actually started a new thing off to one side that will interest virtually none of you, but obviously, because we've built quite an audience here, I've got a new website that teaches others how to build an audience like we have. 150,000 on Instagram for me, 400,000 for Fred, and I think he hits his 100,000 on Diggers and Dozers over on YouTube today. So he's destined to get his play button. So I've created a new website for that. And I wanted an article to go on that website. And I just punched into ChatGPT exactly what it was I was trying to achieve. And within about 4 seconds, ChatGPT gave me the perfect answer. As I say, it's not perfect. So before you go and use it for any form of detailed research, you might want to check the facts. But it really is that good. Peter McKenna says, "A morning, Marshall Ford." I can't see Marshall Ford in the chat, but if Marshall Ford is here, good morning and a welcome. Now, I need to roll a thing, don't I? I think it's this one.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Outside of the bedroom or an Ann Summer shop, have you ever looked at a thing and thought, that could use a bit more vibration? No, neither have I, but the team at Dynaset have, and this is the result. Yeah, no idea what that additional vibration does to the excavator and its components. But the boffins at Dynaset are a smart bunch. I'm sure they've thought of that. Now it is time for one of these. Today's gripe is very, very specific, but I'm sure I'm not alone. I had to go to my local post office yesterday to send a certain someone a couple of certain stickers. All of that will become clear in the fullness of time, I'm sure. But I operate to a very finite schedule. I get up at 6:30 to begin writing this show. I pull together all the various video assets before 8 a.m. and have the content of the show detailed before 9 a.m. I then do this show from roughly 10 this morning until about 11. And then I spend an hour or so making sure the show has cross-posted on all our social media channels and it's been shipped over to Instagram as well. With all of that out of the way, I'm then ready to perform chores at around noon or thereabouts. So, as I said, I strolled to the post office around 12:15 yesterday afternoon. There was one young lady stood at the counter when I arrived. Result, I thought, this won't take a moment. What I didn't realise is that the young lady in question was an eBay seller. And she literally had a sackload, and I do mean a proper sackload of little packages that each had to be weighed individually. Now, I realise that I work from home, that I'm a freelancer, and that I can come and go pretty much as I please. But why does someone with all the time in the world need to send out packages at precisely the time that the post office is usually at its busiest? Or is it just me? Am I just a grumpy old goat? Yes, I probably am. Anyway, that's my gripe of the day. I'd love to hear yours. Also, like to get your feedback on our question of the day, which was, what would you do if you won £1 million this afternoon? I'd like to think you'll still be here tomorrow for the next episode of this. Probably not, or you might be watching it from a beach somewhere. But what would you do with £1 million? Let us know in the chat. But also let us know your gripes. What is it that grinds your gears, gets your goat, and generally butters your parsnips. The daily gripe therapy session will return very, very soon. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. But please don't forget, we have an evening show for you tonight at 7 p.m. It's all about mental health awareness. It is brought to you in conjunction with the fine folks at Plantworks. It's also brought to you in conjunction with Andy Stevens and Steve Kerslake, who are our special guests. It is a panel show. If you would like to be part of the panel, let me know, and I will fire you over the link, and we'll try to squeeze you in at the back. You probably won't get a chair, but you'll be squeezed in at the back, and if we can do that, we certainly will. All that being said, I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this for what is now known as the Craic. But first, here's a word from our key show sponsor. Some good answers to our what would you do with £1 million? Keep it quiet, says Lou Carney. I think I'd probably do the same, actually. Ken Hatcher says he would buy a cat backhoe and polish it. Yeah, good answer. Let me get some music playing in the background, shall we? And what are we going to go for? Let's go back to our usual after show theme, shall we? Yeah, that sounds nice and familiar. Right, let's go back to the very beginning of the chat. Who was first off the mark this morning? First off the mark this morning was our friend Gary Muirhead. Morning, Gary, provider of that sign right there. I watched back about 3 seconds of yesterday's show, and for some reason, I don't know whether the light was different coming through the window over there, but for some reason, that sign gave the whole thing a really nice warm pink tinge. Also made me look like I actually had a tan for once. Thank you for that, Gary. Let's have a look. Who else have we got here? Jeff Pinion, our friend Mr. Brock. Morning, Jeff. Hope you're fitting well, my friend. Are Brock at Plantworks? Are they? Please, somebody, Lou, Jeff, somebody, let me know. Are Brock at Plantworks? If so, I'd like to catch up with Jeff there. Kerry Jones is in the house. You can have a JCB. Not sure what that means. Our friend Mantas is over in LinkedIn again. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Peter McKenna, I've just discovered, Peter, why your nickname didn't come up. I have two Peters on my panel. I pressed the wrong one. The one that I pressed was the one that I have reserved for Peter Haddock, who isn't here. You're here. You got the wrong button. I will relabel them or something to make sure we get it right the next time around. There is Lou Carney. Good morning, lovely people, she says. And off the top of my head, I know Gary Muirhead asked this a little bit later on in the chat. I estimate that Plantworks is now almost exactly 1 month away. There is our question of the day. What would you do if you won £1 million? Let's have a look. There is Mark Whiting. Had a chat with Mark over on Instagram last night. Morning, Mark. Thank you for being here. Peter McKenna says he would buy himself a machine, set up in business, and settle my mortgage and upgrade the property to a reasonable standard. Yep, not a bad idea at all. That's my personal favourite answer to that question. Question of the day, what would you do if you won £1 million? Get a big hammer and smash the alarm clock. I'll never need that again. Good idea, Gary. Although I have to say, and I don't know whether I'm still on Italian time, and I realise it's only an hour out of sync. I can't stay asleep. Since I got back, I'm awake at 4, 5. No good reason whatsoever. You've now seen the avatar, and there, thankfully, is the guy that provided. Many thanks again for that, Matthew. I know I've been talking about this jokingly, but Matthew sent me a photograph of that avatar yesterday and said, would I be okay for him to include that character in a video game that he's developing to encourage and to promote health and safety in demolition and construction? Yes, of course I want to be in it. Of course I want to be in it. Yeah, deeply honoured. Thanks, Matthew. It looks fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree. The thing I like about it the most, I mean, obviously you could do some very sexy computer graphics now, and but I don't want to look polished. I actually look better in 8-bit, which is why we use that music as well. I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I think for the people that are likely to be seeing that in a training scenario, they are probably of the right age that will have actually experienced 8-bit. So I think that's perfect, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished game anyway. Keep up the good work, Matthew. There is Ken Hatcher, who was a little bit late because he was busily watching yesterday's show. Well, don't we all have days like that? Hey, morning, Ken. Yes, I think I've resolved what that issue is. I have too many Peters in my life. I can't get rid of them because I like them all, but yes, I need to relabel my Stream Deck. What am I doing? I'm watching yesterday's one. It's well worth a revisit. I think yesterday's show was a superb episode. Go and take another look. I may change sick note to peg leg at some point in the not too distant future. We shall see. Yes, I don't know what OAP 283. Lou does come up with an idea. Lou, we play at roughly the same time every day. Have Shazam standing by tomorrow, and I promise you we will get to the bottom of what OAP 283 is actually all about. We've already addressed that one from our friend Peter. Dan Cullen says, top of the morning, ladies and gentlemen, and your filthy animals. Good morning to you, Dan. And I think Dan was having a few audio issues. No idea why. I've got the show coming through I am actually wearing headphones, I don't know if you can see them. I've got it coming through, and I'm monitoring it through the microphone as well. All sounds okay here, so hopefully the issue is just at your end. Morning Mandangle, says Peter McKenna. I think that was probably aimed at Dan. There we are. There's Lou. Going to wait until it's on again and ask Shazam. Shazam, quite possibly the greatest invention man has ever seen. Was XCMG at the show? Yeah, they were. They were tucked away in the corner of the same hall as Komatsu. Komatsu had the biggest stand by a fair old distance, but yes, they were there, and they are drawing ever closer. I know they have a presence now. Certainly, they have a presence in Turkey. They've got a presence for their access equipment in Germany. You just get the impression that XCMG are gradually running up to our shores, and as we know, they are going to be at Plantworks. Is that the official launch? We shall see. Yeah, ChatGPT. If anybody hasn't experienced it, it's free. It's free to use. They are starting to charge for some of the premium services, but it really is. If you're into all things tech, I think you would enjoy a bit of a play with ChatGPT. I mean, I literally, just to give you an idea, we did an episode of our podcast, Tech Foresights, maybe a month ago, or thereabouts, maybe a little bit longer than that actually. But it was talking about the arrival of artificial intelligence, of AI in this industry. And to prove the capabilities of AI, I actually got ChatGPT to script the entire episode. I then used another form of AI to generate my voice, or to generate a voice rather, to actually read parts of the script as well. And I got ChatGPT to divine certain elements of the show as well. More recently, there is another form of AI which I'm now using on a fairly regular basis, I have to say, to do fast turnaround edits on videos. I have trained an AI system, an AI video system with my voice. I've uploaded about 10 hours of me talking. God, can you imagine how dull that would be? About 10 hours of me talking. And the AI has learned to speak like me. I've only used it once for an entire news episode because I was running around and I didn't have time to stop and record it myself. But the one thing I can use it for is if I make a mistake. For example, let's say I mention the fact that Plantworks takes place on the 18th of June, when in actual fact it takes place on the 13th of June. I can go back on the video edit, tell my AI voice to replace the 17th or the 18th with the 13th. You will not see the difference. You will not see the join. AI, it's coming, people. You better get used to it. I didn't see Marshall Ford in the chat, but good morning anyway. Has anyone got an issue with the speaker? I can't get volume. I don't think there is a problem, but if anybody else is experiencing that, please let me know. How many days to Plantworks? I'm not sure if Lou has answered that. She may well have done. And yes, Brock is there, and there we are. Brock are at Plantworks. Let's have a look. What does this say? Win 150 quid chip and pin gold card. Register for Plantworks before Friday of this week. Follow this link. That link obviously is in the chat. But go over to LinkedIn, which you can see there. I'm fairly sure that will be on the Plantworks page. Go and use that and win yourself 150 quid chip and pin gold card. Why would you not? Getting paid to go to an exhibition that you probably want to go to anyway. What a result. Well done, Lou. Thank you very much indeed for that. I didn't realise that was a thing. Kind of regret pre-registering myself now, but there you are. Let me have a look. I think we've answered some of these. I think this was Dan talking about the Dynaset vibration system. It's a good thing, but be sore on machines with wrong operator on it. Components will be battered. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But hey, listen, as I say, the boffins at Dynaset know their onions. I would imagine they've thought of that and have probably built that into the system in some way. Don't know. Right, back to work. Good morning and goodbye, Ken. Thank you very much indeed for being here. But before he left, that's what he would do with a million quid. He'd buy himself a cat backhoe loader and spend his time polishing it. Not a bad way to see out your days, I would have thought. Dan Kahn says, if I won £1 million, I'd send some your way, Mark, so you can do more travelling to shows and expand your content, then start my own grounds company and a few Doosands and a house and garage. Well, in that case, when the lottery rolls around this week, Dan, I'll be keeping my fingers crossed specifically for you. Personally, I don't do the lottery, but now that you said you're going to send me a few quid, I'm backing you all the way. Brock are going to be... Listen, there are countless reasons to go to Plantworks. It is the UK's #1 plant fest this year. All of the major manufacturers are there. I've already mentioned the fact that XCMG are there. If you've never seen XCMG in the flesh, this is your chance. You can catch up with Lou Carney. You can catch up with me, with Nick Drew, with Peter Haddock, with Amy Underwood, the Digger Girl, whole bunch of people. Catch up with Gaz Evans as well. But you can also catch up with the mighty Jeff Pinion over at Brock. Do so. You'll thank me. And yes, Jeff is going to be there all week. As will I. Haha says Peter McKenna. I love the Western text when you were speaking. It said Pizza McCartney instead of Pizza McKenna. Yeah, yes, I realise that there is the funny thing about AI. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, you're watching this live, and AI is only so clever at the moment. But I've got a system, I'll tell you now, I'm completely open about it. It's got a system called Descript. I can take a video, this video, whatever it might be, drop it into Descript, and it will transcribe the entire thing. Even if this show turns out to be an hour long, it will transcribe the entire thing in, I don't know, 2 minutes, something like that. And I reckon the accuracy is somewhere around about 98-99%. It even allows for my South London accent and my poor pronunciation and the fact that I mumble quite a bit. It covers all of that. It really is very, very good. Obviously, where are you watching? You're over on Facebook, Peter. Obviously, in a live format, that takes a lot of doing. But yeah, Descript, it is absolutely fantastic. To the point where I could literally sit here and record a thing, whatever that might be, record a thing as a video or a piece of audio, drop it into Descript, and it will spit out the other end an article that I can then use elsewhere. And it will be 99% perfect. I'll just go through and have a very quick scan of it. It really is that good. There's the most predictable answer I could possibly have imagined. What would Nick Drew do with £1 million? He'd probably buy his own ice rink. I thought you'd go and buy yourself a nice big house in Finland. Maybe you can build a nice big house in Finland with an ice rink. Maybe. Peter McKenna says, I've already registered. Does that mean I can't enter the competition for the gold card? I'm learning about this gold card as you are, Peter. So I don't honestly know. I don't know. Try registering again. You never know. Use a different email address. They might just go for it. Gaz Evans, morning all, a bit late today. Better late than never. I always say, Gaz, good morning to you, and thank you very much indeed for being here. Looking forward to seeing the mighty model collection when Plantworks does roll around, either when I've got 150 quid gold card in my back pocket or not. The game is coming in the next couple of months. Anyone else want to be in it? Now, there's an offer. There's an offer. Do you know, I was actually thinking about this last night, Matthew. We have a couple of reprobates who are normally in this show called Ed Butler and Steve Williamson, both of whom operate machines for a living and both of whom have a very distinctive look. Personally, I think their distinctive look is largely based on my distinctive look because it's sunglasses and all that kind of thing, but they would make fantastic additions to the game. I'm speaking to both of them after the show. I'll have a word. I'll get them to get in touch. But it would be fantastic to see a few of those guys in there as well. ChatGPT is great for like Mark, sorting out scripting podcast CVs and even Facebook replies. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, just to let you know, one of the things that I've been using it for, you may have seen on our YouTube channel, we're doing a lot of very quick, down and dirty video news items. They have a red front cover on them or a red thumbnail on them, and it's literally a piece of news arrives. And rather than me having to set up the lights, set up the camera, set up the microphone and sit here and record it and then edit it, what I'm actually doing is I'm punching the basics of the story into ChatGPT, getting it to write a script, put that script over into Descript, getting it to generate the video with my voice, and then we punch it out. It's pretty damn slick, and it's only going to get better. I mean, ChatGPT is first generation, and it's getting better already. Descript is second generation, but that's getting better as well. So keep an eye out. Still very suspicious about AI, especially everything I'm reading in the press just now. One of the things that we mentioned actually in our Tech Foresights episode when I was talking about AI, using AI's own script, was the fact that we are in control of this. I realise there are scare stories about how it's going to take over the world, and we've all seen the Terminator movies, and you know, systems becoming self-aware and all that kind of thing. But we are in control. We can tell AI what to do and what not to do. We are 100% in control. And as I say, I personally, my own personal belief is that ChatGPT or something very similar to it will be the future's search engine. I realise I'm going off at a slight tangent here, away from diggers and dozers and what have you. But if you think about, if you go to do a Google search now, all Google does is offer you a bunch of answers, and you then have to sort through those answers and decide which of them you believe to be the best. ChatGPT will actually formulate an answer. Now, as I say, the system is still learning, and our friend Peter actually asked it, what is the best excavator? I don't think a human could answer that. I think there would be bias within that. So I think that's a difficult question. But, if you're, for example, what are the potential benefits of AI? If you ask that to Google, it will present you with, a million different answers and leave you to decide. ChatGPT will say, here is what we believe to be the best, and it will itemize them. You can have them delivered in bullet point form. One of the things that I tend to do, because of the way I present this show, I get an answer and then I ask ChatGPT to regenerate it in a more chatty, casual style, and what comes out the other end just sounds like me. It really does. And in answer to Gary Muirhead's question, 34 days until plant works. I actually remember being sat here thinking it's 30 days until SaMoTA, and I blinked and all of a sudden I was in Italy. So 34 days is going to come and go like nobody's business. I actually saw from this morning the Vertical Days exhibition, which is largely cranes and access, is on at the East of England showground this morning. I know my mate Katie Callagher is up there at the moment. And the sun was shining. Please let that continue until we get to plant works in just 34 days' time. Jim Turner's joined us. Morning, Jim. You missed some cracking tunes today, my friend. Second answer for question of the day: I'd buy a limousine and be your chauffeur. Well, for one thing, I very, very rarely leave the house. So I don't think I'd really need that, but I have to say it'd be quite nice. For those of you who don't know, my dad, for most of my adult life, my dad was a chauffeur, and I could never quite get my head around it. Taxis, I think, are different, but the idea of getting into the back of a car and letting somebody drive you, not sure I'd be up to that. Morning, better late than never, said Steve Williamson. Now, Steve Williamson, I have a few things to address with you today, sir. Here's the first one. What's the £1 million thing you are on about? Well, you yesterday asked for us to reintroduce the question of the day, and we did. And just because it gives me an opportunity to show off my computer avatar again, this is how it looks. So, Steve, we reintroduced question of the day specifically for you, and you didn't bother to turn up on time to see it. Disgraceful. But the other reason that we mentioned you, that as you saw, that is my computer avatar, because our friend Matthew Hyatt, who is in the chat, is currently developing a new game to encourage and promote health and safety in demolition and construction. And he is featuring me as a character, and he has actually asked who else would like to be in that computer game. And I have already suggested Steve, yourself, and Ed. If you would like to get in touch with Matthew Hyatt, you can find him in the chat up above. You can also find him over on LinkedIn, or failing that, drop me a line and I'll put the two of you in touch. You could be part of a video game. Obviously, Steve, you'll be playing a lesser role than me, because from all I'm being told, I am probably the star of the show, but I'm not. But yes, you could actually be part of a video game. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. There is Steve saying, may struggle tonight. I'm trying my best. Machine's getting moved this evening. Might not get home until 8-ish. Not a problem at all, Steve. In that case, just to remind everybody, tonight's show will be a panel show. So if you would like to be part of that, you may even be able to substitute for Steve Williamson. If you'd like to be a part of the show, please let me know and I'll send you the link. You could be out on the screen with me and our two guests, Steve Kerslake and Andy Stevens. Failing that, you can be in the audience and you can just fire questions at all three of us or anyone else that you care to. There, let's have a look. Dan Khan says, I'll be on at the Plantworks on Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, so must try and do all stands for freebies. Hope you have more luck at Plantworks than I had at SaMoTer. Not one. Not a pen, not a hat, nothing. The only thing that I did get, and I was very grateful, the oil quick stand had some really, really nice licorice sweets on their stand. I ate quite a few of those. I hope my wife's not listening, but I ate quite a few of those. Yeah, purely in research purposes, but yeah, no freebies whatsoever. I'm sure Plantworks will be different. I've seen Descript in action. Yeah, it really is fabulous. All people that have already registered are automatically entered to win the gold cup. This is a learning process. So yes, there you are. Who else would like to be in the game? Me, says Luke Carney. What can I do? My son writes for Lost in Cult. He would be super proud. I don't know what Lost in Cult is. I'm not a gamer. I don't know these things. I'm just excited that somebody has used my misshapen head as a cartoon character. What can I do? I reckon Luke Carney would make a fantastic character because she has a very distinctive look. I once likened her to Bridget Nielsen, if I remember rightly. I mean, Bridget Nielsen in the 1980s when Bridget Nielsen was Bridget Nielsen, not what she is today. Let's have a look. That's good news. Thank you kindly, Louise. He says, Peter McKenna. Wow, I'll take a look. Good stuff. Luke Carney, that looks amazing. That's my day lost on a website. Good stuff. Sorry, folks, got to go. Catch you on WhatsApp. Speak soon. No worries, Peter. Hope to see you tonight as well. I think you know the answer on what I do with $1 million. I've got a pretty good idea. Blow it all on haggis, probably. No? Tilt rotators, isn't it? Tilt rotators and GPS systems. Nothing if not predictable. Crescent Day, take half it and buy a load of rental properties so I can jack working. Take the other half and buy a remote hill farm with a suitable valley so I can build a reservoir and generate hydroelectric power. Do me one favour, would you, Jim, if you actually pull off your plans for a reservoir, could you do me a small favour and stock it with carp and bream? And when the thing is up and running, drop me a line and say, Mark, you must come visit for several weeks. Bring your fishing rod. Just throwing that out there. Should your dreams of owning a reservoir ever come true, throw in a few fish for people like me to go and catch. We'd be grateful, honest. People, I'm going to call it a day in just a second, but I wanted, ahead of tonight's show, let me see if I can do this. I've been away for a week and I've completely forgotten how to do things. Here we go. Let me put that on the screen so that you can see it. Right, so this is just purely timely. We are talking about all things mental health on tonight's show, and literally this morning I've had a news item come in, which is the Mental Health in Trade report for 2023. Just going to give you some of the highlights. 4 in 5 tradespeople experience mental health issues due to their job. 4 in 5. 68%, more than 2/3 of tradespeople experience work-related stress at least once a month. And this is the bit that I thought was the most telling of all. The top 10 causes of stress for tradespeople. 39% said the cost of living crisis. 36% said the rising cost of materials. Finances with 28%, which I think is kind of in line with the first one, which is cost of living. Attentions with customers, 20%. Doing the best job for your customers, 17%. Job security, 14%. Tensions with suppliers, 13%. Risk of catching COVID-19, 12%. Making mistakes at work, 12%. And too much work, 12%. If I were going to have a cause for stress, too much work would be quite a nice one to have. But there you are. How often do tradespeople experience stress, anxiety and depression? 7% said every day, 30% said at least once a week, and almost half, 48%, said they experience stress at work at least once a fortnight. We will be talking about all of that this evening. So if you would like to join us to be part of that, you can do that. You can do it either through the chat, which is what you're doing now, or you can hop on over and actually be a part of the show. You can be on the screen here. You can be on the screen. You get the idea. When Jim builds his reservoir, I'll get an open invitation. Thank you very much indeed. I will bring some banging tunes with me. I won't do that because that will disturb the fish, but you get the idea. Mark, can you please send me a link and a few words so I can share tonight's show across all our channels, please? Lou, as soon as I press the stop button, I will do that forthwith, if not sooner. Jim Turner says, you can even document the building of the reservoir. I reckon it will make a good series of programs. You're my first point of contact for all things media and video. Thank you very much indeed for that, Jim. I'd love to do that. I worked with a guy, excuse me a second, I worked with a guy some years ago who, my first foray, I guess, into the field of video, it just so happened I lived a couple of doors away from a Norwegian guy who was very good, Johan, good at all things video. Young guy, probably half my age, I guess, but very good at all things video. He actually runs a UK-based news network that basically does UK news for Norwegian television. I don't know why the Norwegians are so interested in what we're doing here. Probably for a good laugh, I would guess. But that's what he does now. But he actually filmed a series, and I don't know whatever happened to it, because this is quite possibly pre-YouTube days. But he had met a guy in his native Norway who was basically, could trace his lineage back to the Vikings, you know, the real ones. And this guy was basically building a boat. But to build the boat, he was going out into the forest to cut down a tree. He was then going to age the tree. He was then going to carve the boat by hand. And he was then going to obviously build whatever else goes into this sort of Viking-style boat. And he was then going to set sail in the boat. No idea. I saw the first couple of rushes, never saw the finished video. But something like that. You imagine watching a series, somebody building a reservoir for hydroelectric power. I'd tune into that. Let's have a look. How can we register for the chip and pin if not on LinkedIn for PlantWorks? It's a good question. I've got to drop a line over to Lou after the show, as you know, Dan. If she hasn't answered that already, I will ask her that question for you, and I will get back to you via WhatsApp, if that's okay. Right, that is going to do us for today. We're nearly, well, where are we? 54 and 3/4 minutes. I think that's probably enough of this for anyone's time. I've got to go and get ready for tonight's show as well. Love to see a few of you join us tonight, either on screen or in the chat. We are going to be talking about mental health. I think it's going to be a very open and possibly at times a fairly heated discussion as well, because both myself and our two guests, Steve and Andy, feel very passionately about all things mental health, but about the fact that the industry seems to be doing so precious little about it. So, yeah, join us if you can. Gary Muirhead says, when was your last fishing day out? Maybe you could organise a charity fishing day that we could all come to and pay a fee. Gary, do you not think I've got enough on my plate? I started a new website yesterday, like a bloody fool. Okay, so charity fishing day would be fantastic. I don't have the time to organise it. And in answer to your question, I'm a course fisherman, so we tend to follow the rules of the rivers and stuff. I've not been fishing since September last year. We are currently in the close season here in the UK. There are lakes and what have you, private fisheries that I could go and fish, but I tend to fish rivers and canals, and we have a close season. So 16th of June, hopefully I will be, well, I won't be because I'll be at PlantWorks, I think. But soon after the 16th of June, I will be off out fishing. I've had another chat. Incidentally, I forgot to mention this. You might recall a couple of weeks ago, one of our prize giveaways was won by Craig Williams over at CSW Groundworks. I saw a link last night that Craig Williams has actually started a YouTube channel, and he's done a review on is it an iDig system? I'm trying to remember the name of it. If you have a look at that, I would suggest you do go and have a look at that. He's done a fantastic job, very much Ollie Gunn style. So set out in the open, talking about why he's invested in the machine and everything else. Yes, go and take a look. It's a very good video. I think he's done a cracking job. Why was I talking about that? Yes, I remember. I'm joining dots in my head. The reason I mentioned Craig Williams is he offered to put up £100 for me to do a marathon live stream. I've decided it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen after Plantworks. I just need to fix a date, make sure that my time is completely clear, and I'm going to do a marathon live stream as soon after Plantworks as we possibly can. Steve Williamson says, new website. Yes, you have already been invited, sir, as part of the content creators, the Construction Content Creators Club. I actually posted a link to it yesterday. Just to let everybody know, it's on a system called Substack. I won't bore you with the details, but Substack allows me to generate articles or to write articles, and when I write them, they are sent out to an email list that's already attached to the website. You have to subscribe. It is free at the moment, but I am basically using that as a platform to teach others how to do social media, basically. But for this specific space, I'm not going to teach you how to do a viral video that's going to make you £1 million or £10 million. What I will teach you along the way, though, is precisely how to target demolition and construction industries using social media, specifically YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on. So go take a look. Gary Muirhead says, are you still using Patreon? I am still using Patreon. I don't mention it anywhere near enough, Gary, to be perfectly honest. You may recall we used to have a bit of video that we used to play, but it's the old brand. I do need to get Fred to update that. I'm not doing enough on Patreon, to be perfectly honest with you, because pressures of time and stuff like that. And we have another one as well. Don't think I actually have the graphic for that any longer. Let's have a look. No, I don't. We also have a thing called Buy Me a Coffee. buymeacoffee.com/demolition news. If you like this, if you like what we do, if you like a particular video, a particular article, whatever it might be, you can basically leave us a tip at Buy Me a Coffee, but BUYMEACOFFE, buymeacoffee.com/demolition news. I think you can, it's literally, the idea is that you buy me a coffee. So if you really like something that we've done, I think you can leave me a tip of about £3 or whatever it might be, which I can then go and blow at the local Starbucks. I don't actually drink that much coffee, but that's the name of the website. What am I going to do? I just saw something went through there and then it's vanished. I think somebody may have deleted a comment. Right, people, that's an hour. That is a whole hour. I'm going to go and get ready for tonight's show. When I say I'm going to get ready for tonight's show, what I'm actually going to do is go and have some breakfast, actually. I'll be at Plantworks waiting for a coffee, Mark. Okay, well, I tell you what, Dan, if you would like to pay it forward, buymeacoffee.com/demolition news. You pay £3 into there. When I meet up with you, I'll buy you the coffee. How about that? It's the circular economy. That's how it works. Yes, I'll be back here at 7 o'clock tonight. If you'd like to be a part of that in the chat or on the show, I'd love to have you here. Yes, that's it. And just going back to Gary's question, if you would like to become a long-term supporter of this show, and I will get back to doing a graphic for it, it is patreon.com, patreon.com/demolition news, and you can basically pay a subscription to be part of the gang, as it were. Not compulsory. I realise times are hard, and I'm not going to force anyone to do that, but if you would like to do so, please feel free, but only do so if you can afford it. If not, you get this stuff for free anyway. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. Everybody, have a fantastic day. Hope to see you at 7 o'clock tonight. If not, I'll see you at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for more of the same. And we have plenty more video to bring you, both from the wild, but also from our trip to SaMoTA last week as well. So keep watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon. All the best.